segment about the issue of immigration and an evangelical approach to that. 888-589-8840, number to call. I'd like to get your responses to that, referring to this piece in the first segment on the New York Times about illegal immigration and the fact that very many evangelical leaders are on board with what amounts to amnesty, which is a reward for lawbreaking. Now, this is not, I would suggest, an evangelical or biblical point of view. A couple of other items, a couple other quotes from that piece in the New York Times. The same leader I quoted in the first segment says about the Hispanic immigrants, they're social conservatives hardwired to be pro-family, religious, and entrepreneurial. So this is their template for understanding the average Hispanic illegal alien. He is a social conservative. He's hardwired to be pro-family, religious, and entrepreneurial. Yet, you look at the statistics, and I'm not sure that that understanding is accurate. Illegitimacy rate in the Hispanic community today is well north of 50%. The Heritage Foundation indicates that the average illegal alien has just a 10th grade education, and over the course of his life, they project out 34 years because the average illegal alien is of a certain age. They're going to live X number of years. They project out their lifetime earnings, the lifetime contributions they're going to make in taxes, the lifetime consumption of welfare benefits, and they came to the conclusion that the average illegal alien, if he's legalized under this amnesty bill, will consume $592,000 more in welfare benefits than he will pay in taxes. So it doesn't seem to me that they're understanding that they're going to be entrepreneurial. No, they're not going to be entrepreneurial. The average illegal alien is going to be working in a low-skilled job for the bulk of his life since they just have a 10th grade education. They don't seem to be hardwired to have socially conservative values as the rate of illegitimacy would suggest. And there's another evangelical leader that was quoted in this piece that says the Latino community coming in both legally and illegally generally possess a value system that is compatible with America's value system. Well, again, I ask you, he says they're here illegally, but they have a value system that is compatible with America's value system. Again, this seems to me, frankly, to be a ludicrous statement on its face. Since when is illegality a part of America's value system? I mean, the very fact that they have broken their law and are breaking their law by being here, that suggests to me maybe they do not share America's value system, which at its root involves the rule of law and a respect for the rule of law. And I just don't, they say these are hardwired to be conservative voters. I'm just not seeing it. Again, there's an organization called Latino Decisions. They produced a poll in 2011, and they had this statement in connection with it. Minority citizens prefer a more energetic government by large and statistically significant margins. So what does that mean? A more energetic government. How do you parse that? That means that Hispanic immigrants love and want bigger and bigger government and more government programs. They're not, like most evangelicals are, fans, supporters of smaller and less intrusive and less expensive government. So my point is, if Latinos are hardwired to be anything, it's not to be conservative Republicans, it's to be liberal Democrats, and that's why 71% of Hispanics, Latinos, voted for President Obama in the last election and are likely to vote hardcore left for decades to come. So it seems to me that their understanding is faulty on a number of fronts. I don't think they have a clear understanding of evangelical principle, how it would apply to the illegal immigration debate, and I don't think they even have a good, solid sociological understanding of the nature of the community that comprise the core, the majority of illegal aliens. Well, let's go to the phones, 888-589-8840. Let's start by going to John in Lottie, Florida. John, if we can bring him in. All right. Looks like we got to get our software working. Let me see if I can get it done here. There we go. John, Lottie, Florida. Welcome to Focal Point with Brian Fisher. What's on your mind? John, are you with me?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Go right ahead. You're on with Brian Fisher.
The Latinos and Mexicans are known in the Bible as Philistines. And whenever Israel did wrong, God would let the devil work through the Philistines and come against the nation of Israel and destroy them. And that's what's happening today. But the preachers are doing the devil's work by helping these Philistines come in here.
Well, and now I think from a biblical standpoint, and maybe the Philistines were descendants of Ham as well. I think from a biblical standpoint, they would be descendants of Ham. But your point is that one of the tools of God's judgment on the nation of Israel was to allow this kind of unrestricted immigration, this flood across their borders into their own national sovereign territory, and there was a certain amount of damage that was caused by that flood of illegals, if you want to use that term, coming across the border, and that was part of the hand of God's judgment on the people.
Right.
All right. Well, it's kind of hard to argue with that. You might use different terms than John would use, but you look at the way in which the flood of illegal aliens, it is putting a huge burden on our law enforcement system. It's introducing drugs into our communities, the violence that comes with drug cartels, the welfare benefits that are paid out to illegal aliens are closing down hospitals all across the southern border. And when people talk about we need to have compassion for illegal aliens, well, I kind of understand what you're saying, but what about compassion for the people that have to pay for all of this? Where is the compassion for the people who live in these communities that are now being infiltrated by drugs and drug cartels and the violence that goes with it? Where is the compassion for the people that are watching their hospitals close because they cannot afford the cost of providing health care for illegal aliens who do not come with insurance and do not come with the necessary resources to pay for their own health care? At some point, I think you've got to factor that element into your calibration of compassion. Well, let's go to Doyle in Harris, Tennessee. Doyle, Harris, Tennessee. Welcome to Focal Point. What's on your mind?
Hello.
Hi.
I wanted to comment on, you were saying that Hispanics lean conservative. I believe that's true. I wouldn't say they're hardwired, but I believe they lean that way. The reason I believe that they vote differently is because though they would rather vote for a conservative more so than a lot of Americans, nonetheless, they look at the Republicans. Their party platform says a lot of conservative things, but they don't actually vote that way, and they don't actually practice that way.
Well, Doyle, let me just remind you. I mean, you say you think that they may lean instinctively conservative, but there's this organization called Latino Decisions, and they wrote this in 2011. Minority citizens prefer a more energetic government. And here is Peter Chaw of Trinity Evangelical Divinity School. Most international students, so not just Hispanics, but most international students, when it comes to socioeconomic issues and globalization, are quite progressive. So in other words, what they're saying is, as a matter of fact, Latino immigrants do not lean instinctively conservative. They lean instinctively toward bigger and larger government.
Well, what I mean is this. Morally, they lean conservative. But when it comes to the other issues, they look at the Republicans and they see that they don't live up to the platform. The Democrats do live up to their platform, even though maybe it doesn't fit what they want morally.
Well, Doyle, I want to believe what you're saying, but I look at the illegitimacy rate in the Hispanic community. I think it's up around 56%. I mean, that does not seem like there's an embedded sense of family, marital values, sexual values that come from the scripture. It doesn't seem to be to be there.
Well, I think they have the same problem that a lot of Christians are having that are not Hispanic too, and that is simply this: if you have to decide between someone who doesn't live up to their platform and then someone who maybe doesn't have your values, but they do live up to their platform, and they're going to give you money, then we go with that. And the result is then you begin to live in such a way as to merit that continued handing out of money.
Well, see, but I wonder, Doyle, what these guys are saying is, look, this is what they want. They want bigger government. They want more goodies. They want more welfare programs. That's what they are looking for from their government. That's what they're hardwired to expect from their government. And you think about immigrants coming from Mexico or from Central or South America, almost all of them are coming to the United States from socialist countries with a very large and intrusive role of government, where the government is in charge of all the social services, all of the welfare services. And that's what they're used to. That's what they expect. And one of the reasons they come to America is America's a richer country, and therefore they believe it will have more goodies to distribute. So I think they vote for Democrats because Democrats are the party that are promising them more and bigger goodies and more and bigger government programs. Listen, Doyle, I appreciate your call. Thank you very much for that. We'll get to some more of your calls and more content when we come back after the news break. Focal Point AFR Talk. Stay with us. Back in 5 minutes.